you're combining two of the greatest things that happened in the 1980s. One in which is a toy line based show series that designed to sell toys. Okay, that was the whole appeal of the said toys that you got, was because of the show. And that was always something that just happened. It was a very common thing and it was very popular back then. And because times were different, and for as much as people didn't know any better, but still you can definitely say how homoeroticism was portrayed. And today, it's awesome to see people being proud of who they are. But it's just always funny to me how when you combine these two together, somehow a lot of straight people still think that that is like the most masculine thing you can say or look as. Yet most people back then probably discovered something about themselves and are very proud of who they are, because you can definitely chalk it up to how society was back then. And yet somehow there are some people that still think that this stuff got ruined nowadays versus back then. But I mean, when you have two characters that seriously look like they really want to make out, I don't know how you could tell me that that isn't reading too much into how things have changed, or at the very least innocent it seemed, even though it was clearly obvious. Even now, come on.
You tell everyone that you're from another planet. It just makes you sound a little very crazy.
Masters of the Universe 2026 is directed by Travis Knight, with a screenplay by Chris Butler, Aaron Nee, Adam Nee, and David Callaham, and a story by Aaron Nee, Adam Nee, Alex Litvak, and Michael Finch. The film stars Nicholas Galitzine, Camila Mendes, Alison Brie, James Purefoy, Charlotte Riley, Morena, Baccarin, Jóhannes, Jóhannesson, Kristen, Wiig, Jared Leto, and Idris Elba. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, a young man on Earth discovers a fabulous secret legacy as the prince of an alien planet and must recover a magic sword and return home to protect his kingdom. He-Man is another 80s animated show similar to the others like Transformers and G.I. Joe. Now, granted, G.I. Joe had existed prior to the reemergence of what we now think of G.I. Joe. Like, back then, they were just kind of army soldiers, like generic characters that you play as. But, like, nowadays, G.I. Joe is remembered for a lot of people growing up with that show and with the toys. Unlike those properties, besides Transformers, which, again, so far Transformers is the one that I have actual real connections to, because I really enjoyed what Transformers is in even some of the toys I played with. But, like, I still think Transformers is enjoyable. I legit have no attachments to this property, He-Man, the Masters of the Universe, to really be excited for this latest adaptation, as no fan doesn't really want to bring up even the 1987 adaptation, which a lot of He-Man fans can tell you we don't talk about that one. What? 87? I don't remember that one. I don't know what you're talking about. So, with this in mind, and taking my dad, who is an actual fan of the series, he still was, of course, a kid of that era that enjoyed what these shows had to offer, and this was one that was the same thing. I managed to have a good time with this movie in particular. I am kind of surprised that by the end, I actually found myself really liking Masters of the Universe. I legit would even go as far as to say that it has me a little bit curious to maybe even watch the cartoons. Maybe, okay? I won't push as much, but maybe just a little. It just really captures what a Saturday morning cartoon is just now come to life. It is true to its nature, and that is a big toy commercial, and it sticks to that. It never deviates. It doesn't go anywhere on trying to be super duper deep. It is definitely a cartoon through and through, and it knows that. Before discussing my issues, my problems that I did find with this movie that I do think really hold it back for me, here are now my positives. The performances are fun. The cast, mainly Galitzine, Leto, and Elba, capture the campy and corny aspects of what this IP kind of seems like. Again, I'm kind of going off of maybe some clips and some knowledge that I learned about with He-Man, and just really understands what this is. This is nothing really deep or something serious. People, this is a glorified science fiction action movie, okay? Nothing about this movie should scream super serious. And even though I know there'll probably be pushbacks against him, but I'm saying for myself, Nicholas Galitzine, I think he does pretty well as Adam or He-Man. And sure, he may kind of play up the bimbo blonde hair type of character that Adam is. But I mean, like, honestly, for what this movie is really asking for, I mean, I'm not asking much. I understand that maybe for some fans, it'll be too much for some people, but like, I'll give credit to Gallins. He does pretty well with what he is given, and he offers that sort of bit of charisma, maybe like ability, but he does deliver in the action department when he is playing He-Man. He truly looks like he did a lot of work into making sure that he, at the very least, tried to get the physicality of what He-Man's supposed to be. I even can't believe I am saying this because this is a man that has been mocked and laughed at, and there are legit even serious allegations against him. I gotta admit, Jared Leto is really good as Skeletor. Never thought I would see the day that I would actually praise Jared Leto in something other than like maybe the notable ones that have been mentioned. But I'm surprised that he managed to bring some gravitas to Skeletor because I've always heard that Skeletor has always been a campy character that everyone just loves to the way his inflections are. It's very similar to even what the cartoon really also comes off as is just very much a shit talker and somebody who is just pure evil at the end of the day, and yet somehow he manages to pull it off. And in some ways, the best writing is definitely given to him by a long shot because he is hilarious in this. Idris Elba, the guy looks like he's having a lot of fun. He's just going for the ride, and you can tell that he's having a blast doing this type of movie. I'm sure he grew up with He-Man as well, and to be honest, he clearly shows how much he really brought so much of a bit of heart, but rather just the fun nature of what this movie kind of shows you and offers you in a way that I think it should be. It should be this fun aspect that really drives what this movie is rather than trying to be really, really serious with what it shouldn't be. The direction is exciting. Director Travis Knight brings this franchise to the big screen, but a bit more faithfully than what the 87 movie was, showing everyone how Knight is really a fan. You can tell by even some of the way in which he incorporates some of the characters in here. Sure, they can be very much obvious fan service, but I really see the fans really liking the fact that the guy just brought in fan favorite characters or characters from the cartoons to the big screen and doing it in a way where it does seem like he truly cares about how these characters are presented and how they come off, and just knowing how to have good sense of humor about this whole thing, and also really trying to showcase some of the more action parts of this film that I think really help itself, and that's because Knight just understands what makes He-Man just such a really fun thing for a lot of fans who grew up with this series. The action is entertaining. The fights and ship battles feel like playing with the figures at home, allowing this all to be a huge spectacle for fans and audiences. I mean, seriously, this film is truly a little kid's dream. Like, ones that grew up with the show, yeah, this is like what they expected that 87 movie or what they had thought a live action He-Man movie would be. And yeah, they delivered on that. A lot of the action sequences I thought were handled pretty well and really showcasing He-Man's powers, and even some of the fights in which characters are just throwing enemies left and right and just like throwing them in the air too. Especially one fight with Man Arms played by Idris Elba, who I thought had, I think, one of my favorite fights in the movie, besides the ending fight with He-Man Skeletor, but he was actually pretty good in the action sequences himself. And it's just cool to see a movie that knows what it is, just have a lot of fun with having some of the characters and their power sets just be on display. It is pretty cool to see. The music is amazing. Composer Daniel Burton, along with Queen guitarist Brian May. Now that's a cherry on top for me. You got my favorite band, easily my favorite guitarist that influenced me on how to play the guitar, to make a score that just fits the tone and vibes of what this truly is, and just really lean into its era very heavily. Whenever I hear Brian May shred any sort of riffs for this film with his guitar. It's so amazing. And there's even a song that is used from Queen in this movie. I won't say what, but it had me stunned because it is my favorite Queen song. It's a very underrated one, but it's one I love, and it surprises me that they managed to pull it off somehow because I didn't think they would be able to, yet I got a kick out of it, man. I'm not gonna lie. The production is stellar. Seeing the props, costumes, and sets are all fitting to what He-Man looks like, making sure that it looks what it should be, and that is a big toy commercial. Now, you can say that that's cheap or cheating because, well, it's based off of a toy line and it's just being pretty much a commercial. And you'd be right, but I'd be damned if I'm not gonna deny that they did pretty well of being faithful to what these characters look like. Like, seriously, He-Man's costumes as well as some of the other ones, I mean, they managed to pull off something that somehow really fits well with what this movie is. Because if they had tried that back in the 80s, I feel like that shit would have been cheap and just so tacky. But yet somehow in this movie, it works so well. The visuals are solid. From Skeletor's design, creatures and sceneries like Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain look well done, showing the effort in bringing this to life. I never thought a movie like He-Man, the Masters of the Universe had any right to look as gorgeous as it is. Now, sure, there's a couple of shots that may not look amazing, but I think most of it is pretty consistent on how it looks. On characters, especially ones that have exaggerated weaponry on them, but I gotta give props to not just the sceneries themselves, but really Skeletor. They were able to pull off something that I thought could never work or would come off as being so laughable in how his design would be. But yet, some way, the motion capture effects on here is really well done in how he moves and articulates. It's really pretty cool to see a film like this just really take the effort in doing that. This story is enjoyable. Following Prince Adam slash He-Man getting back to Eternia as he fights Skeletor was all in good fun. Cliche, but nothing bad. Look, I'm not asking much with regards to He-Man. I know what this is, and even though you could say, well, it's cliched and it doesn't do anything new, at the same time, kind of like it. There's nothing wrong with what this movie does, and I found myself really investing in what Prince Am goes through in the movie, and his fight against Skeletor I thought was kind of fun to see. And sure, it does the stereotypical he goes to Earth type of deal, and sure, they are on it, but it's quick enough to where they get past that. They go back to Eternia. But overall, I did find myself having a good time with what this movie had to offer in terms of the story and how silly, dumb fun it can be that I just couldn't help but get a good smile on my face. For all of its campiness, I appreciate it. There are a couple of hiccups that trip it to making this seem like it just can't get over itself in areas that I wish they could have fixed up or changed, but here are now my negatives. The pacing and runtime is exhausting. While scenes would keep going, the movie outstays its welcome by the halfway point. With a runtime of 2 hours and 20 minutes, it should have been shortened down. I don't think this movie needed to be over 2 hours. If anything, hour 50, 55, maybe at 2 hours, but not above it. I don't think this needed to be this big, huge, epic scale type of like runtime that warrants it. I think it should have easily just known what it was, which was, hey, we can do this for almost about 2 hours, but we can't go anything above it. But yet they tried to, and to me, it is very apparent to me that it should have never done that. The writing is inconsistent. Writers Butler, the Nee brothers, and Callaham crafts a script that feels all over the place and switches up too much. One moment trying to be emotional to being super comedic. I feel like this is the effect similar to like Thor Ragnarok, where like Taika Waititi and maybe some of the other writers he had, but Taika Waititi, you can feel like the influence of Thor Ragnarok and even Love and Thunder here, where it's very inconsistent with itself because sometimes they'll throw a lot of jokes in, and some emotional parts can work, but I don't think it needs to be at times 100% serious, because there are moments where they try to really be like, no, this is a serious moment. And some of the jokes, just like with Taika Waititi's work, it can be hit or miss a lot of times. Some jokes work, and then other times you'll just get like a, like, alright, fine. But otherwise, I was not like hating what I was watching, but I could really definitely feel like the script just couldn't find a right balance to its tone. The editing is messy, cuts would feel chopped up and too quickly, especially during fights. A lot of the times being just at times annoying. And I really hate that. Maybe I'm spoiled because I love the John Wick movies and how they've shown like editing could be extended or at the very least like showcasing an actor fighting. This movie, there were times where in action sequences, I feel like they were trying so hard to like quickly cut all these fights and all these battle sequences that I'm just like, I just wish that they could slow some of this down to where I can at least see the actors doing it. Like I know Nicholas Galitzine, he can fight, like he trained for this, but yet I get this feeling like they were quickly cutting a lot of the stuff where he can showcase that he is doing it. I get you want to hide it so that way stunt people can come in and do it, but at the same time, I kind of would like actors to try to showcase themselves in the films a lot more, or rather, the editors to trust the actors to actually pull off these things rather than just kind of faking it. I didn't have too much expectations for this, but Masters of the Universe 2026 was able to be a good time, giving fans and audiences something to enjoy. It might have a few cracks, but it's intact to be enough fun. That's the best word I can describe this movie. It's fun. If you are a die-hard He-Man fan, you're going to love this. I truly think you will. Maybe some hiccups here and there, or maybe you will be really annoyed by the humor in this, but I'm telling you, I think this is probably the best you're going to get for a He-Man movie. And as for new audiences, I think you'll find something to appreciate and enjoy for a film that is based off of a property that, let's face it, everyone jokes about and laughs at. And this is the one time I can say, all right, I see why people like this. And one that I might dabble in a bit, but I'm not going to go fully in depth with it like some of like Transformers. But maybe, just maybe, but I'm at least happy that I got something that was quite entertaining. I'm going to give Masters of the Universe 2026 a 7 out of 10. This is an enjoyable, fun, campy time. If you go in with that kind of mindset and know that, hey, please do not take this seriously, you'll have a fun time. And you'll get a kick out of what this movie has to offer rather than really just trying to be something that it's not. And thankfully, having Travis Knight here, I think, works out for the best. And I truly think that out of all the directors who can do like 80s properties, or at the very least try to tap into what makes a franchise so successful, or a property from that period be here for the modern age, I think Travis Knight is one to look out for. I would like to see if he can do more of that, but for now, I'm happy with what I got. So I will be soon doing a review for Disclosure Day. So yes, look forward to that review and other reviews coming soon.